So here's the real question. How do dentists like you, who aren't willing to let insurance dictate how you will run your practice, who want to create incredibly profitable practices without sacrificing your time or sanity, how do you create the strategies to ensure your practice not only survives but thrives in the 21st century? That's the blaring question, and Dr. Steve Schalintz is here to provide the answers. Welcome to Dental Practice Freedom Radio.
What's up, everybody? This is Dr. Steve Schalintz. I want to welcome you back to another episode of Dental Practice Freedom Radio. And as promised, this episode is going to be a little bit more about some of the takeaways I had from the GrowthCon number 3, Grant Cardone's big event. There was 35,000 entrepreneurs there. It was unbelievable. And I think part of it is how you actually process some of these conferences. So, when I used to go to conferences, what I would do is I'd geek out on all the information. I'd just keep taking notes and notes and notes and notes and notes and notes and notes. And what I found was I'd hit that knowing doing gap that I've talked about on so many different episodes on Dental Practice Freedom Radio, which is I'd know more, but I'd do less. And it just got me more frustrated, right? So literally now when I go to these conferences, I'm taking 2 or 3 points and trying to figure out how do I take this one aspect of what it is I just learned and then apply it in my business for the next 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, whatever that is, right? And if you get one piece of information out of these conferences, it's gold. And then you focus on the relationships, right? I have found that the relationships that I form at these conferences is more important than anything else that I do. Honestly, there was a quote by Zig Ziglar. He said, if you help enough people get what they want in life, you'll get everything you want, something along those lines, right? And I think of that in terms of these conferences, like everybody in that room, there was somebody in that room to help me get everywhere that I needed to go in my business. Now, whether I found them or not is my problem, right? But the reality is, I guarantee you out of those 35,000 people, there were enough people in that room to get me exactly where I wanted to go in my business this year, right? And those are the important things. You have to be able to network. You have to be able to grow. You have to be able to develop. You have to figure out exactly, as Grant Cardone would say, who's got your money. But you also want to be thinking, people go, well, what does that even mean? That's pretty boisterous and flamboyant to even say that. And it's kind of not a cool thing to say. But he's explained it so many different times, and I'm like, that makes all the sense in the world. Who's got my money is basically, are you getting in front of people that are going to be able to pay for your service? And if the answer is no, you have to ask yourself, what am I doing in a business relationship with somebody that can't pay for my service? I think there's that component. That's why we get in front of our patients. That's why I get in front of dentists as clients, right? I'm not talking to chiropractors about dental sales secrets. It just doesn't serve any purpose, right? And it's the same thing when you go to these events. You have to find these relationships, and you have to go seek them out. And you say, not just who has my money, but who has the relationship? Who's going to be able to help me by me in turn helping them, right? So that's one of the big things with these conferences is you have to understand how are you approaching the conference and have a game plan. Literally write down, what am I trying to get out of this conference? And this is the beauty of this, and I'm going to give you this is a big turning point for me in these conferences. When I went from going, boy, I'm going to learn everything I possibly can at this conference, right, to here are the 3 goals that I'm trying to accomplish in my business. I'm going to look at everything through the lens of how do I accomplish these three goals in my business, and then I'm going to take all the information that I heard and apply it to these 3 goals that I have in my business, or the 3 things that I want to accomplish out of this conference. When you make that switch from just knowledge for knowledge's sake to knowledge to apply to a direct problem or goal that you have, every conference you will attend will change. The level of awareness will be totally different because you're now listening to very specific things that are being said in the conference that are going to help relate to these goals that you set. Listen, dentists are the worst, right? I've been there, I've done it, and I still do it sometimes. We geek out on knowledge. It's what we do. That's how we learned. The issue is sometimes that process, that level of thinking, that way of thinking about conferences and learning and growth will hold you back because it's just too much information to process. You end up doing nothing with it. So with that being said, I'm going to talk about one thing that really hit me hard when I was at this conference, and it was really making me think about my coaching business and what do I not like. And it's funny because I do dental sales secrets, and I feel a little bit like Grant in this capacity. And I'm sorry, this could be a little bit longer of an episode, but Grant talks a lot about he hated sales. He hated the idea of selling, but he embraced selling, and that's what created his fame and fortune. And I must admit, I have dental sales secrets. I'm not a natural salesperson. I actually do not enjoy doing it, which is one of the reasons why it's so ironic and funny that I have dental sales secrets. And when people ask me about the program, basically I said, I think it was designed to be a little bit brash in terms of how I named it, dental sales secrets, and it turns a lot of dentists off. But I feel like if the dentist feels even uncomfortable with the word sales, I probably don't want to work with them too much because they won't be able to get the results. But what's interesting is, as I was naming it, as I was thinking about it, I'm uncomfortable with the traditional concept of sales as well. So the first thing I had to do is actually fall in love with this idea of my services and what I'm providing, how I'm able to help people. And that is quote unquote sales. And Grant said something at this conference that made me think of a quote. And it's so important. He said, what are you pushing back on so hard that can literally be the thing for you? I was like, wow, that's awesome. And Joseph Campbell had a quote. He said, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. And Grant said, what are you pushing back on so hard that can literally be the thing for you? Now, here's the reality. We all have that. We all have that thing, whether it's in our practice or, those passions that we have, right? And you just keep rationalizing why you don't want to do this thing and why this isn't the right thing and X, Y, and Z, right? But the reality is that is probably your thing. So I will tell you, for the first year and a half or 2 years as a coach, I will tell you one of my least favorite clients to work with was a dentist. See, I wasn't using this in my own coaching business, right? I wasn't using this concept of pushing back so hard on something that could literally be your thing. The reality is I can help dentists more than any other group because I am a dentist and I understand what it takes to do comprehensive case acceptance for wellness-based practices. I understand that idea, and I understand how to implement this in practices. But for so long, I was fighting against that. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. That is probably my thing. Now, that will lead into other avenues. Like, if you guys have been listening to my podcast at all, you know that I do a program called Thinking into Results. I'm a consultant. I'm one of Bob Proctor's top consultants for that. And that is all about mindset. It's all about paradigm shifts. It's all about understanding who we are as people and understanding how to work with the laws of the universe. I love doing that. But the reality is the path for me is most likely working with dentists, because here's the thing. If you're a dental practice owner and you're trying to figure out how to make your business work, you have to understand that the practice is a representation of you. So it actually doesn't matter what your thing is. Wallace Wattles in The Science of Getting Rich talks about this concept. He says it really doesn't matter where you're at right now. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You have to do things in a certain way. And if you can learn to do things in a certain way by working with the laws of the universe, if you learn how to do things in a certain way, you can apply that to any business anywhere. So for me, it's been a discovery process, right? It's not just about coaching. It's understanding who I am as a person. How do I operate? How do I help people? How do I build a business? How do I build a business as a solopreneur versus a dental practice? Two totally different things. But the concepts, the underlying business concepts are very similar. And so, when Grant said that, it just hit me. And it was the reason I wanted to come on this podcast episode and talk about that, which is, what is the thing you're pushing back on? And here's the thing. For dental sales secrets, for example, when dentists are in that program, the thing they're probably pushing back on is that sales component. And that's the problem. You're not embracing it. Because you don't embrace it, it's going to be very hard for you to overcome it. And so hopefully you got value out of this episode. There's so many different episodes that I'm going to bring up. There's another article too that I wanted to talk about in a future episode coming up very quickly here, that it's just such a great article. And it goes back to these things too, that this idea of pushing back on something, right? I'm so honored and grateful and thankful and humbled that you guys continue to listen to this. We are on, I think it's episode 76 now, and I'm just pumped. I'm going to reevaluate when I get to an episode 100 and see what I want to be talking about, and maybe put some cool things together for you guys. And if you get value out of this podcast, please leave a review and a rating on iTunes or wherever you listen. That would be fantastic and phenomenal, and it really helps me. If you guys are ever interested in reaching out to me for coaching, there is going to be a link in the bio, or the link in the bio. I'm not on Instagram. A link in the description box where you basically can learn a little bit more about what it is I do, why I do it. And then you have an opportunity to set up a coaching call with me if that's something that you're interested in. I just truly appreciate you guys listening. If you need me at all, don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you so much, and you have a great day or night whenever you're listening to this episode.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode on Dental Practice Freedom Radio with Dr. Steve Schlitz. We'll see you on the next episode.